We are here, ladies and gentlemen, assuming the stream is up properly. It appears to be. A very jam-packed Fuji plays host to the 8th round of the ARC Endurance Championship. We are here in qualifying. Yeah, GT qualifying is about to begin. We're not in qualifying yet, because I think people are working out some kinks in the lobby settings, because there's, there's, I believe, 12, maybe 13 GTs trying to qualify this week, and I think there's another 10 or 11 hypercars trying to do the same. I did not close my door. Hang on. Alright, door closed. If I can just reach over and grab it. I cannot read this worth a darn. Where am I looking here? That is Proto 2 results, standings. There we go, finally. Yeah, we are looking pretty busy at the moment. Some new guys, I guess I'll just take the opportunity to try and introduce them to the best of my abilities, but with very incomplete name information on a handful of them. This is the debut for a last name that's not been confirmed to me yet, but AJ something. His name is AJ. He's driving for Vision 47, so I guess GT AJ versus AJ Knickel. Until I get an official confirmation on his last name. We have Caden McDonald, who I think he's been signed up, but he's on a very part-time schedule. Where the heck did you get a 3-second penalty? What route did you take? Mason Pope, NFR second driver, making his debut. Mate Popuse, or something like that, Popusoy. I didn't get a pronunciation on that either, but at least I know what his last name is. And Darius is finally back. So now there's 2 Volvos, and in the other lobby there's a couple of debuting hypercars. Remains to be seen who makes it to the show, but I do believe it will be sending 4 GT cars home, and I think 3 hypercars, but it could be even more than that. Looks like Robichaud was the first driver to enter the circuit. There is a really, really bad glare on my screen because it's the late evening, and I can't close the curtains enough to get it out of my view, but luckily it's not obstructing my view of anything important like the running order or the track map, but it is just really annoying that every once in a while I just tilt my head a little bit and I get absolutely flashbanged by the sun. But that is a me problem, not a viewer problem. So, yeah, and obviously worth noting, there are no provisionals. Even the championship leader, if circumstances become dire enough, could end up missing the race. There's nothing guaranteeing that even Jonas Itkunen or Scott Frederick will make the race. Other than just the fact that, you know, logically speaking, I'd be very surprised if these guys don't get a really quick lap in 10 minutes to put themselves top 8. You would expect them to qualify, but it doesn't 100% guarantee. Looks like Caden McDonald might be close enough to Mate to be getting a draft off of him here. Oh, it's not by much if he is, but I think he is within 7/10. The 2 NFR cars aren't too far apart either, but they're also just out of range for Slipstream. That's going to be something that's going to come into play here, I think. If you're sending home 4 cars, cooperation may be key. You might want to find somebody to Slipstream with down the front straightaway. That's worth an extra few miles an hour, and considering the NSX doesn't have much in the way of engine power, that could mean a lot. Let's see. So nobody's invalid yet. I think everybody has begun their first lap. Okay, not everybody. Everybody except Itkonen, who was the last car to leave the pits. And he is about to, as we speak, start his lap. Meanwhile, Frenchie, the first driver to leave the pits, is partway through Sector 3 already. Fuji is a track that I'm intimately familiar with, probably second only to Suzuka in terms of just how much I know the track. Kind of working as a secondary home circuit for NFR, a team that is very historically Japanese themed, both in its car selection and liveries. So, yeah, I know the place, I would tend to say. And heck, when I was running laps to kill time, and was not too far off the pace. The first lap of the session, 39.6 for Robichaud, followed immediately by Mate, immediately topping the board, 38.7. That is a heck of a lap for, well, basically his first lap of the ARC season. Mason Pope, his first lap of his GT7 season is a 41.1. And his teammate, about a second and a third off of that. He might have gotten some slipstream on the way into turn 1 there now. Hard to be sure. Preston Van Wee behind the two NSXs. It's a little squirrely for Pope there. Let's see what other lap times are coming in. Yep, Scott Frederick, as expected, produces a 39.5, but there's nothing touching that 38.7. That is a scary time, especially for it to have come up 3.5 minutes into the contest. 39.2 from Itkonen. Still half a second off of the 38.7 that this Lamborghini just ran. GTA, I should probably double check my tablet to make sure that nobody's updated me on the last name, or if I can find it somewhere. We are indeed sending 4 cars home from both classes, so there would actually be a consolation race that the broadcast won't catch, but that does mean that for any driver that does get sent home here, your day isn't necessarily over just because you didn't make the top part of the, the top 8 here or the top 7 in Hypercar. Papusoy further ups the ante, a 38.501 to the Huracan. Meanwhile, well, yeah, okay, he hasn't done the lap yet. Robichaud improved to a 39.2 in the background of that. Pope improves to a 40.6, Van Wee with an impressive 40.2 in the Corvette. I don't know how that car would do here. I feel like that might be decent on single lap pace because the Corvette does have some kick to its engine, being a V8 and all. Well, this is an outlap for, what number is that? Is that a 1? What is that? I think that's a 3. I can't tell what that number is. That's a weird... I think that's a 3. In which case, that's not allowed because there's already a 3 in the hypercar category. I believe it might be Adam Pelk. Mason Pope in the 84. And Mate really pushing the car to the limit. I don't think he's got to do all that. I think he's got pole relatively locked up. I don't really know if... I don't think we'll be seeing a lap like a 38.5 from any of these three. Try as Eunice may have done. 38.7. I didn't even notice he did that, but... Okay, never mind. Maybe it is possible. Robichaud just ran a 38.8. He's out of fuel. He will just barely have enough time to get back around and do another run. Scott Frederick out of the last turn. Maybe a bit earlier of an apex than I would have taken, but... A lot of the corners at Fuji, there's more than one way to skin the cat. Especially the last turn, somewhat the first turn, and the very long right-hander that our friend Itkonen is about to head into right here. This is like miss-hit-miss on the Nordschleife, but banked and faster. It's hard to really explain adequately. It was not an improvement from Frederick. 100th or so off his previous best. That was either an invalid or outlap for Holden Horn. Van Wee exits the pits into traffic. He's got to wait before he can even go. There's got a gaggle of cars on an outlap here, heading towards turn 3, because I think that is technically 3. There's a little kink right here that Robbie is in that's, I think, counted as a turn, because the FIA counts every steering motion as a corner. I'll never fully understand it, and I don't think anybody else will either. Mason Pope is on the bubble. He's got a second of a cushion between himself and Ravi Ganesh in the Supra. Caden McDonald could yet be a threat as well for that spot. And we have not yet discovered the true pace of the second Vision 47 car either. He's yet to set a valid lap. 239 is not going to help any, but this will be his last chance to set a lap. And I really hope for his sake that that fuel light is not a problem. Logan Cool runs a 41.8. He's got a lot of work to do. I think he might be consolation bound right there. Mason Pope is going to be having some very helpful slipstream from the back of Robichaud. Holden Horn behind him will be in the same boat. We'll watch our true main protagonist to the qualifying session as well. I'll try to keep an eye on everybody as best as I can. So, no guarantees. I'm only one person, and updates only come up on the screen when it's a new personal best. So, yep, that is it for Logan Cool. That is a corner cutting penalty, probably just being too eager to turn in for turn 3. And that basically puts the nail in his session. But the show is not over for his teammate, the debuting Mason Pope. We'll see if he can remain in 8th. That's the real thing of it. He doesn't necessarily need to improve as much as he needs to hope that Ravi Ganesh and Caden McDonald don't. And or that AJ2 isn't secretly hiding some incredible pace in that car. It's going to be close. This is going to be his last chance. 36, 37, 38, 39, 40... 41, he is not getting anywhere. 41.8 only jumps him over Caden McDonald, who did not put in a representative lap just yet. He is about 45 seconds or so away from doing so. And the split isn't looking pretty, but he may very well have just spun in the third sector on the first lap, for all that I know. No improvement from Papu Soleil, nor from Itkunen. I don't think the Lamborghini driver needed an improvement necessarily, though, so... Robichaud is heartless. He is moving over, not giving Mason Pope anything. Mason Pope finds a 39.7. That's going to get him basically safe right there. Holden Horn does not improve. Preston Van Lee does not improve. It is up to Ravi Ganesh, and he's not running a 40.2. 42.6 isn't going to get him too far, and Caden McDonald will be the last one to try and make their way into the top 8. He's getting nowhere. 43.1 will put him in last. So everybody did eventually make a representative lap. Who was still going? Okay, nobody. That's the last lap done. A 1:40.041, oddly satisfying for the OCD sufferers, but it is not an improvement for Scott Frederick. And with that, we will indeed be sending 4 cars home. Ravi, AJ2, Caden McDonald, and Logan Cool are on their way out the door, but they will be presumably joining the consolation race. Let's see if I can actually quickly find my way into the prototype lobby, if that qualifying session is still ongoing. Either way, I have to migrate there anyway, because that's the main lobby we're using for the race. When it eventually, shows me the lobbies that are open, there we go. Don't click on the wrong one. I don't know what those other lobbies are. Don't ask. I haven't talked to any of those people in a while. Quick water break while we load. Now I'll get ready for another 60 or so minutes of that right here. Let's see, are we done here? We are in the void. No, we're on the final runs of the session, and I'm not going to have any idea who's run what kind of laps, but Deshaun Davis is all but bump drafting AJ Knickel as we tune into the prototype lobby. Are these in the correct order? I'm going to go ahead and guess they aren't, because I would be very surprised and impressed if Deshaun Davis is second overall right now. You do get a quick glimpse at our two new guys as well, although the hypercar grid is not as healthy as I thought it was. Logan Taylor, for the first time, NFR not only has one guy, it has three. Logan Taylor will make his first start for NFR in the hypercar category. 28.8 is actually competitive, quite competitive in fact. I can't see everyone's laps though. Okay, Kubinski ran a 28.5. This isn't working nearly as well as I thought it would, because I got a hard time believing that neither VFR cars have a good lap in. We're only going to be seeing the lap that they just ran, basically. Okay, we're starting to get more of the big picture here. I wonder if it's just filling in the lap that was their previous best. I'm not really sure what the game is cooking at the current moment, but as far as I can tell, Jackson Altman is leading the pack with a 27.1. That definitely seems like a lap that could be pole. I would believe that. Redwan has nothing to offer. Boryoshi has a penalty. I would be kind of surprised if Kubinski isn't actually faster than 28.5, but it's not impossible that he just had some bad runs. So I believe it'd be top 7 here going home. And I've definitely got a hard time believing you haven't run a lap yet, so I don't think we're getting the whole picture. Oh, huge shuffling from Logan Taylor's machine. I don't know what to look for. Aiden McCarthy, who has, I think, made a start at Watkins Glen. That was terrifying, but I wasn't there for that race, so this is the first I've seen him in a broadcast, but I know this is not his first start. Okay, what is Alex Heredia actually cooking? Because I know darn well he has to have a lap, and it's just not updating because I joined late. Can almost guarantee Deshaun and McCarthy are going home. AJ Knickel is not making the race either. He is bottom 3 after winning the last 2 races. He may not have the lap he needed unless I'm getting incomplete information. What is going on here? Who's still running? No one is running. We're done here, game. We're done here, GT7. I don't know what I'm looking at, but that would be an absolutely stupefying outcome if AJ Knickel just missed the race. Adam Pelk was also probably here at some point, but I don't know. I feel like I'm watching like 75% of a race right now. I don't think... Oh, there's a time remaining in the corner there, but... I think it thinks that somebody is running. There's Preston, that's a GT. He just followed me over, I believe. There's someone else. Yeah, again, we're getting the GT cars migrating over because their session finished early. There's Mate, there's Eunice. Why the heck do I have 8 Discord pings? Oh. Anyway, nonsense aside. Quick chat, nonsense going on here. Actually, no, I think that would probably be the first time they've met Tay. I think he's been in ARC in the past. I think he was around in the Project Cars 2 days more than anything, though. I don't honestly know who made it in the hypercar grid. I'm just going to kind of wait until we get to the the formation lap before the actual race properly starts, and then I'll just run off the grid then. They're trying to set the grid, but I think there's a handful of people who just... oh, well, okay. That might be the grid there, actually. I don't know. No, because setting the grid doesn't reset the lobby. They can't set up the grid order until everybody has entered the course, so Rubbershot and Van Wee are holding things up. Okay, Van Wee is holding things up. Stand for... excuse me, stretch is a weird time. Handful more moments, and we will be officially underway. Or that bathroom break. Okay, Logan Taylor has left. Not sure what's going on there. Was there a miscommunication? Did he not make the race? I don't know. I'm only really gonna call or start calling things once we're on the formation lap. That's when I'll actually know what I'm dealing with here. In the meantime, I need more water. Gotta love how there's a trackside camera that just says, forget looking at the race cars, here's a mountain. In case you forgot where Fuji Speedway was. Hey look, there's the mountain again. And there it is a third time. Can you tell we're near Mount Fuji, guys? Is it that obvious? Who was the mad lad that decided we needed to have a racetrack at the foot of a mountain? No, a volcano, anyway. The things that people come up with in the 60s, or really just the entirety of the 1900s. Things that I don't think this track gets made today, you know? It's just like Monaco in that way, but for much different reasons. The track layout obviously is fine, it's just... do we really need a track at the base of a mountain? But then the real question to ask is, why don't we need a track at the base of a mountain? I don't know. Can you tell I'm filming in space? There's still somebody not readied up, isn't there? Not even the... I think Logan Taylor must have had some... Okay, no, we're waiting for Darius to get in here, and Logan did in fact not make it. So we're waiting on Darius to get in here. Logan Taylor didn't make the race, so we've got exactly one of the 3 NFR cars that made it. Still better than, I think it was Le Mans where 3 ECR cars showed up and none of them made it. Other thing is, I finally actually found where the standings is on the conveniently labeled channel named AEC Standings. Or GT7 Standings, rather, but you get what I mean. And yeah, there is, let's see, it's 19 points between AJ Knickel and Dominic Kibinski at the top of the hypercar point standings, and then it is only 7 between Jonas Sitkanen and Scott Frederick. But we'll just say the difference between first and third in GT is only 1 more than the difference between first and 6th in prototype. So that just shows just how far above everyone else Itkonen and Frederick have been. It said Frederick is slightly on the back foot in qualifying this time around. Eunice is on the front row for Hypercar, but he's exactly 1 row behind him. Does it track wins on the side? Okay, it's been 5 wins versus 2 wins, but the wins that Scott Frederick got are much more meaningful because they won at Daytona and Le Mans, which were worth extra points. So it's basically like he won 4 races, while Eunice has won 5. As for the starting grid, the 7 hypercars are as such: Alex Heredia with yet another pole position, followed by Jackson Altman, Redwan Hamza, I'm not sure. Dominic Kubinski, trying to wrestle the points lead out of AJ Knickel's hands. Boryoshi, Knickel himself. And Aiden McCarthy rounds out the hypercar grid. And the debuting Matej Popusoy, I'm probably going to butcher that the entire week, so just bear with me on that. Sits on pole in the Huracan, followed by Eunice Itkonen, Stefan Robichaud, Scott Frederick, Darius in the Volvo, the pronunciation of which has still never been explained to me. The debuting Mason Pope, Holden Horn, and Preston Van Wee rounds out the field overall. And we're doubling up, I think, as we get into the 3rd sector. I'm going to quickly snatch 1 more sip of water, and we will take the green flag. Also, it's probably worth mentioning now that NFR does indeed have a more NFR-esque livery for the remainder of the season. Both of them are running this more anime-style car, since at this point that's unabashedly become a big part of Nuclear Fusion Racing's identity, is just the anime design philosophies and stuff like that. We've had an anime car pretty much every other season, and this one, for the last 2 races of the season, will be no different. And upon Heredia's mark, we will be green from Fuji. There it is. We are off from Fuji Speedway. 57 minutes of racing ahead of us. And Heredia did in fact get the start he needed. Altman was not prepared for the green. And it looks like Dominic really caught Ridwan unawares. He's up to 3rd off the start. We'll check in on our GT friends, who apparently separated from the others. Matej gets out clean. And it looks like it's a drag race between Itkonen and Robichaud on the way into 1. The AMG with the better line, but Eunice can just kind of cut around the outside and get the better momentum. Traction control kicking in, but no change in the top 3 on either category. Or really just in general, it seems like. Except Kubinski has disconnected, it seems, so that's an early... I guess we'll call that a mechanical failure. They're 3 wide for 12th in the back. Jackson Allman going down the inside of Heredia, but crossover administered through the chicane. Double crossover administered, as a matter of fact. Despite the half-second penalty, Altman is getting very pushy, even on the opening lap of the contest. Ridwan has... Well, actually, no, he's back to 3rd now because Kubinski disconnected, that's right. Doesn't seem like we're doing anything for him. I think that was just a rule change, so we just stopped doing that. Altman is now going to lose his advantage, lose his chance at passing Heredia, as there is a penalty. Ridwan will overtake with ease. That might be the only spot he will lose. Yeah, he's fine to stay in the top 3 at the moment. The entire top 4 starting on medium tires, as well as AJ Knickel, so that means that McCarthy is the lone prototype running soft tires at this juncture. On the other hand, it's an alternating pattern, pretty much, of soft versus medium in the GT class. But most notably at the front is that Matej is on softs, trying to get away early. Itkonen is on mediums. Robichaud is on softs, which explains how he got the better run into turn 1. That is a spinning Volvo of Darius on the way out of turn 1 and 2. That'll demote him to last. But he was able to just happen to spin completely out of the way of all other cars, so at least there's that. There will be no chaos on the way down towards 3. Already 3 seconds and change advantage for the Lamborghini. That is nuts. Now Aiden has a penalty. That's probably going to knock him down behind Yoshi. I don't know if AJ... He might be able to also pass him under this half-second decel. I'm not sure. It'll probably be a contest into turn 1. I've said that word way too much already. Yeah, Yoshi goes by. AJ Knickel isn't really as close as he'd like to be. He may not have a chance at taking the spot away. No, not without some crazy dive bomb theatrics or something. Which I don't really think is like AJ, especially not 6 minutes into the race. Jackson Altman looking for a chance against the reserve Ridwan, filling in for Matt Hall this round. At this point, it might almost be worth mentioning where Heredia is in relation to Knickel and Kubinski, whose points battle has just been absolutely gutted. He's 5th in points, he's 30 back. But that's just, I don't know, it feels like Heredia is the points leader, but he just somehow inexplicably isn't. And it just doesn't seem like right, you know? Still basically sardines, especially the battle for second in the GT category is pretty much a train headed by the Lexus of Itkonen. Frenchie with the softer tires directly behind, but he's not been able to really find much of a weakness in the RCF's lap times, despite that. Heredia is pitting. He is apparently very much just done with the mediums. That is certainly a call of all time. I'm not going to say it doesn't have any credence to it, but it definitely seems very out there. There isn't a requirement that you have to run a whole stint on the mediums, but that does just basically condemn Heredia not only to a white line or pit line penalty, but to making... He's just in another pair of mediums. What was that pit stop for then? What? Did they get a drive-through for something? I am confused, but that has given Jackson Altman the lead. Ridwan is right there with him to try and take it away. We'll see if that develops as the race goes on. It should. Knickel also right on the back of Boryoshi, trying to get it into 4th overall. Check back in with the GT cars. My voice is getting a dead spot. We've only just begun. Come on, give me a break. Oh, Mason Pope gets a lot of AstroTurf. That's a spinning NSX. Not holding the brakes down and is lucky to have just basically skirted out of the way of the Volvo. That's another terrifying one right there. I just zoned out real badly. Apologies for that. I just like ultra spaced out. I think my brain literally just like shut off for a minute. So I helped my voice a little, or my throat, but not exactly reveling commentary to be literally spaced out, waiting for something to happen. Even though there very much is something happening, Robichaud is definitely close to Itkinen to consider this a battle for position. So I'm not really sure why my brain just stopped there. So again, apologies for that lapse. The track with long straightaways, though, sometimes, you know, a difference in tires here will not be quite as pronounced as elsewhere. It's hard to put an exact science to it, but it just basically means that I'm not really surprised that despite having the better tires, Robichaud hasn't found a divisive one of the two, move to put Itkinen in his mirror. Obviously defensive driving and everything, it's just a matter that it all just comes down to using the softs to get a good exit out of the next right-hander. And then being able to outbrake one another into one, while still getting the car stopped in time. Although I think this one's a done deal now. That was a very bad exit for Itkinen. And the AMG and the Lexus are basically dead even on horsepower without slipstream, but it actually seems like... Okay, no, never mind, he's not catching. I thought he was based on the camera angle, but that was just a perspective illusion. Who goes latest on the brakes, and who has the better line on the way through and in? It looks like Robichaud will get the move done. Itkinen probably could have fought that a little harder, but I reckon he just didn't see the point. I got confused there on which car the camera was looking at. Don't look at the camera, me. Look at the leaderboard, and that tells you what car you're highlighting. He can let Robichaud by with not many issues. But now his championship rival is the one in his rearview mirror, and I imagine he might be a little more reluctant to let that go, especially since they are on the same tires, so presumably the same strategy. And they are wearing here more than I thought they would. Even the mediums seem like they're kind of getting worked over here just about 6 laps into the race. I need more water. I apologize, my throat is just not cooperating at this moment. These are the times I really need a co-commentator, more so just for when I physically can't keep talking or need to stop for a moment, just somebody to fill the air. That Porsche is incredibly close. We're getting our first taste of blue flags as well. Jackson Altman and Ridwan Hamza are making their way through the mid to upper pack of GT. Mid to upper? You mean mid to front, Riker? The upper pack. Yeah, that's not a term people use. Hate to tell you, me. Weaving through the chaos. Altman is able to get clear of that nose-to-tail battle. Ridwan will not have the same luck. He'll in fact be caught behind his own teammate as he gets ahead of the Porsche. Right on board through the blue flag chaos. Eunice breaks out of the way. Robichaud lets his teammate by. But he may not give exactly the same luxury to Ridwan. It may not matter in the grand scheme of things. Around the outside, blue flags cleared for the 2 leaders. Albeit not too easily. That's going to lose Ridwan maybe a couple of tenths right there. Get out of this camera. That's the camera I used to use in like my first days of commentating, but I was told not to multiple times by multiple people. So I don't. And you're at about quarter distance now. 15 minutes, 1/4 of the way through the race. Already had one car, well, we'll call it mechanical failure. They lagged out, but I like to use the more immersive terminology in this case. It is technically a mechanical failure, if only by way of, you know, not the mechanics of the car, but the mechanics of your video gaming setup, even if that includes your ISP. It is a very sideways Jackson Altman as they lap the GT class leader, who has a very healthy 9-second lead. I think he had to go deep there. He was tired, he couldn't lose more time. It didn't really lose him anything. He missed the apex at one, sure, but the way that that corner works, he was able to make it up on the way out. Oh, it is chaos. Now Yo Borshi. What? Huh? What? Yoshi, I'm sorry, is not successfully making his way through that battle for second in the class. No, excuse me, for third. Right. Stefan passed Eunice, I forgot. Yoshi ahead of his teammate. AJ Knickel ahead of Eunice. Might be able to use his own teammate Robichaud as a pick to get by the FR Racing machine. Slipstream benefits will also help. We'll go on board with the Canadian driver, see if he has a chance at getting onto the provisional podium here. The Slipstream not doing the work I thought it'd do. He's not really going to have a shot, although Yoshi is out of gears, but there will be no attempt at this juncture. They are both nearly 13 seconds behind the race leaders. And after the blue flag madness, and that's not helping, Ridwan is nearly 2 seconds back from Jackson Altman, who's really just going about his business at this point. Not quite on the same level what Heredia would be doing, minus his pit stop things. He's already back to 5th, as Aidan McCarthy's tires are off a cliff, and I think he may have made a mistake on a lap or two ago. They're both now picking their way through the battle for 3rd in GT, and Aidan McCarthy is struggling to do so. Somehow none of the hypercar-induced chaos has caused any kind of attack from Scott Frederick. And they both basically stayed exactly as they were for a handful of laps. Maybe knowing the hypercars are there is the reason why, but it could also just simply be that nothing has occurred. There have been no opportunities, and as such, there have been no overtakes. When you say it out loud, it sounds painfully obvious. But isn't that how it always works, you know? Another 2/10 deficit between Kaneko and Yoshi. I think this time Kaneko will definitely have a shot if he doesn't back out. Sudden change of direction. To the outside goes the 47 car. We're looking at maybe a switchback maneuver on the exit of turn 1. Better traction for the 47. Turn 3 is not the best passing zone, though. Just going to be who has the nerve and who has the line. And AJ didn't have the line, even if he did have the nerve. Gets a better run, though, but this is not a passing zone. Dirty Air is going to make sure of that fact. Despite the better way out for Knickel, another switchback. Yoshi understeers at the exit of the mid-track hairpin. But AJ's momentum has stalled, and it'd be a very, very, very uncharacteristically aggressive attempt if he went for it there. And Heredia's not far away from them either, despite pitting early. I don't know what he's cooking on the strategy here, I must admit, but I guess it's just a case of trusting the process. He's the one who's won multiple races this season, and I'm the one sitting in the commentary box wearing out my throat just to entertain the 4 people looking at the stream, so who am I to question anything? And we've got all our ducks still in a row, not even a second and a half between the 3 cars. Mason Pope clearly had... Oh yeah, no, he had that spin, that's right. And then he just hasn't had much pace afterwards. Not necessarily too surprising, the NSX is far from known for its straight line performance. It's probably losing him a few tenths per lap alone. as well as being on the mediums, while the two cars ahead of him directly on the circuit are not. But those soft tires are running out of time. Why do you have your turn signal on, Preston? There's nobody here. Are you just trying to flex on the BMW drivers that aren't in the race? Because I don't think a single person signed up for the BMW in either category? Kind of surprising now that you think about it. The BMW M6 used to be the Meta GT3 car, or Group 3, excuse me, but evidently not anymore. Nobody was interested. Instead, the first cars that came off the board were the Lexus and the Porsche. Both categories in Porsche's case. I also totally missed AJ Knickel getting ahead of Yoshi, so that seems about right for me. I watched the battle for 4 laps. Look away at Heredia for like a couple of seconds, and poof, new car in 3rd place. Oopsie. Actually, it wasn't even that. I was looking at this triage of cars, of GTs heading through the 3rd sector. That's what I was looking at. And then observing Mason Pope's performance deficit. I think he also had some kind of mistake on lap 9. Matei's left front is deceased, so his stint is over, despite the fact that Robichaud has been nowhere near as harsh on his tires on the same compound. That could be very important to note for later. Matei may have ultimate pace, but it may be at the expense of his car's resources, so to speak. Whereas Robichaud is consistently in those 40s and low 41s, but he's doing so probably saving a bit of fuel and definitely saving a lot of rubber. And the same can basically be said for his his entourage behind him, who are both on the harder compound and still sticking with him. So I guess that can also just speak to the pace difference. And now, even though he's done better at conserving his tires, I think Robichaud's rubber have had enough of him. And it looks like Eunice has also had enough of him. He's going to look at a pass here heading towards the hairpin chicane hybrid. And try the long way around for the Lexus. It's not easy to do, but it does give him the inside lane here, but he's just cut off at the pass. Robichaud not taking that, and now that's left him vulnerable to Scott Frederick. I didn't actually see when he saved. I wasn't paying attention, I guess. Maybe it was actually, no, I think I know what you're talking about now, yeah. My brain, I saw it, but I think I was in the middle of another thought, so I didn't comment. Oops. More slipstream festivities, both cars basically exactly half a tenth apart. I don't think we'll be seeing any overtakes on this run towards turn 1. Heredia is officially what I consider up to Boryoshi, about a second and a half away, but with a time penalty to his name means that that's going to be null and void in a handful of turns. Altman still enjoying a comfortable 3 seconds, basically 4 lead. Yeah, there's your penalty that'll cost you. That'll basically double the gap between him and Boryoshi. At this point, it just kind of seems like I'm waiting for pit cycles to shake out before these three really get into anything. They're not on the same strategy. Not all three of them, anyway. Frederick and Itkanen, the two GT Championship protagonists, are, as Aiden McCarthy heads into the pits. His left front has had enough, even though he had a decent amount of fuel left in the tank. Pick up the phone! Was not prepared for that noise at all. water in my system 25 minutes into the event. I'm also curious on, yeah, the pit cycle between Matei and everybody else as well. He's on another pair of soft tires. So he is committed to a two-stop strategy in this race, probably for the best, since I don't think he has the tire wear to make it in one, based on what I saw a moment ago. Darius and Preston also pit. Preston Van Wee still has his turn signal on. Whoever you're trying to tell that you're turning left, I think they get the picture. Darius after pitting, excuse me, is right on the tail of the Honda of Mason Pope. Not a Lexus, Riker. I don't know where you got that from. I think my brain was like, oh, that has an X and an S in it, just like NSX does. No, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Mason Pope has his windshield wipers on, I've just noticed. It's not scheduled to rain in the race. Despite the fact that it may look really cloudy, I don't believe that that is anything more than a haze. Oh, that's an attack from Paul Poussoy. And that's going to get him up to 10th. Maybe. He also has his windshield wipers on. Maybe they know something I don't. Maybe it is about to start raining. Or they could just be joking around. Okay, there's got to be some moisture somewhere. This is not a joke anymore. Also, Ikunin has overtaken Frenchie. Is that Matei's play? Also, rubber shot, not Frenchie. Is that his play? Does he know that there's rain coming? I didn't know. Oh, yeah, there's moisture on the front stretch there. You saw it in the corner. So it is beginning to rain at just shy of the halfway distance mark here from Fuji. That means that the mandatory medium soft rule may go out the window if the drivers need to get onto the intermediates. I believe this marks our first rain race of the season. Around the outside goes Scott Frederick. Robichaud's grip is running out. That's not going to do it just yet for the Porsche, but it's getting there. He's going to hang in on the inside of the AMG. Later on the brakes? No, but he doesn't have to be. He's got the inside lane. He's got third in class. Net, basically. Although I can't even say that now because the rain's coming down. I think they will have to pit before it gets to intermediate conditions, though. I don't think any of them are pushing their tanks that far. Well, okay, they might be able to push their tires that far, especially the ones on the mediums, but that doesn't matter. Their gas tanks are basically empty anyway. Now we've got soon a battle between Yoshi and Heredia, who's finally made his way up to the FR racing car. Only about 2.5 tenths between them as we head on to the front straightaway. Slipstream and everything is going to kick in. We'll see if Heredia's got a shot here into turn 1. Oh, there's a bear crap in the woods. Yoshi going all the way to the inside to try and make sure he has the inside. I just don't think it matters. That's a lot of overspeed for that hypercar, but Yoshi's still fighting it. Impressive braking display there from Yoshi to maybe hang on to 4th for dear life. But Heredia still has the inside for 3. More late braking. They make contact. And despite using all of the curbing and maybe a little bit of his side pod, Yoshi hangs on to 4th place. But I still just can't help but feel like that's delaying the inevitable. Heredia very clearly has more pace at the moment, but he also has less fuel somehow. Despite making a pit stop that Yoshi did not make. That is huge overspeed, 3 wide, with the pulsator of GT. Crazy comp going on. The camera's not helping. Mount Fuji is not battling for position. Heredia and Yoshi are GT7. I would like to look at that. Heredia finally has to snake his way by. There's more contact. Yoshi stuck his nose there. Thought he might do it again. At this point, might as well, right? Yoshi's going to dive it into the final turn. That's going to give him absolutely no exit momentum. And yeah, that is the easiest crossover of the century for Alex Heredia. And he's going to have more momentum down the front straightaway. Slipstream might kick in. Yoshi will take it, but it may not do enough. Heredia trying to break the toe, perhaps unsuccessfully. We'll see what poor Yoshi decides to do as we get on the brakes. Tries the long way around. No one is home. Let me just slip down here. Nope. No crossover, but better momentum. Stefan Robichaud is in the way. I believe he is just pitted. Or he's about to, but that has really thrown off Yoshi's attempt. And that is going to finally confirm the move for Alex Heredia. Lap and a quarter in the making for the 6 car. But finally a real show. Just past the halfway mark of the race. And the weather seems to have stopped already. I don't see many windshield wipers, and I don't see much moisture built up on the circuit, so that may have just been a false alarm or a slight shower at best. Despite the Silent Hill-esque look of the track, you probably can't even see Mount Fuji very well at this point, depending on where you are looking at it from. 5.5 second lead for Jackson Altman as we begin the lap that matches his racing number. Heredia will have to pit a lap early, though. He's a little lower on the fuel tank, as I believe he was pushing to try and get up to Yoshi. That fight cost them both 4 seconds against AJ Knickel. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, not much has changed in the GT car battle, except for the fact that Matei is closing in on his second set of soft tires. The left front already feeling the pain. As Robichaud does actually now pit with 2 liters of fuel left in the tank. And that leaves the 2 championship protagonists to battle provisionally for basically P2 in the category on track. Matei will pass them when they pit, but he will be pitting again in due time. He will have to be on the mediums for that. But with the raw pace he had, being able to just push for the whole race, never have to worry about saving fuel and or tires, may be the difference maker. Hair in my nose, that was fun. They're not separated by much. 1/4 of a second, down to 2/10 of a second. Scott Frederick may have a shot if he wants it. He doesn't want it. That is a very sideways Heredia, but he does just enough to keep the car pointed the right way. Wait a minute, Red One's car isn't up to regulation. He's missing the right number boards. No. At this point, I've basically been educated that that doesn't actually matter. Scott Frederick enters the pit lane. Eunice will go presumably at least one more time around, but considering he's not even got the fuel light, he could do 2. Oh, he has to pit again. Okay, never mind. That's why that's happening. I was like, when did Mason get ahead of Van Wheat? Pit stop. And this is going to be the last lap on this tank for Pope anyway. Jackson Altman heads into the pits. Red One will follow him. I'd be surprised if AJ Knickel and Heredia don't also do the same. Yoshi could go another lap, but it's just also a matter of, does he want to, or does he feel like he even needs to? No, he doesn't want to. Nobody wants to. Every single hypercar except Aiden McCarthy is in the pits on this occasion. And in about 20 seconds... Oh, Logan Taylor won the B main, huh? Sweet. into the second second B main victory for NFR in AEC history. First one was me in the exact car we have on the screen here. Jonas not pitting this time either. He's got to pit eventually, obviously. He's got blue flags. Oh, oh. What was I supposed to know? Either one of them was possible. I don't know how quick Logan Taylor is. I guess apparently the other Logan Cool, is your 9th place finisher in GT. And Logan Taylor's situation is unconfirmed. Meanwhile, to the hour-long race at hand, there's nothing to report. We've got Yoshi, who's slightly closed the gap, probably by taking a bit less fuel than Heredia, but it just isn't enough. Yoshi has slightly underfueled the car. Probably calculated right, it looks like to me. Okay, at this point, Itkinen, you have to come in, because even if you don't, you're gonna get passed by the Lamborghini anyway. Then again, I reckon his problem isn't with the Lamborghini. He's probably concerned with the Porsche that's currently heading towards the hairpin. And running a PB at the moment because he's on the soft tires. The distance between Altman and Ridwan was cut down a little bit in the pit cycle, and based on the fuel tanks, I'm going to go ahead and guess it was due to that. Although Ridwan actually took a lot more, so I'm not really sure how this has happened. Maybe Altman underfueled and he's saving right now. I don't know. Oh, that's a battle. That's the battle for second on track. That's battle practically for the points lead as far as I'm concerned. Good thing I caught that. Too wide into turn 3, and it looks like Frederick will be victorious, but now they're both on a basically dead even playing field, except Itkinen's tires are just a little bit better, because he stayed out an extra 2 laps, thanks to the Lexus's just otherworldly fuel-saving capability. This is the battle of the night right here. Forget everything else. Forget this guy is even here. Even though he's about to pit, he's probably about to be with them in a moment. He's going to be on the harder tires because he's not going to have a choice. But we've all seen the pace he's had today. Grab the popcorn. I have the popcorn. Terribly unprofessional, I apologize, but I had to. Yeah, that left front is not long for this world, my friend. Is that the flag of Chad? Like, the country of Chad? Is that where he's actually from? Can somebody confirm that? Because I can't deny his name does look very exotic. It's clearly not North American. I say that. I can't pronounce Darius' last name, and he's Canadian, so I don't know anymore, man. Lineage is confusing, so we got Ancestry.com and stuff, I guess. Anyway. Just over 20 minutes to go. Something tells me we'll be seeing these two next to each other for most or all of it. Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, I'm fairly certain that's the flag of Chad. I'm just not sure if he's actually from there. I'm gonna go ahead and guess, just based off of law of averages, he isn't. But I can't be 100% sure he isn't. Oh, sudden Jackson Altman passing the battle for second in GT. might soon turn into the battle for the lead, depending on how much time Matej loses as he heads to the pits here, as that left front has officially given up the ghost. So whatever you do, do not get a pit exit line penalty. That will absolutely kill you. Oh god, I thought that was Frenchie there. No, that is Ridwan. Putting blue flags on the others. Easy as pie. Ridwan will pass with no issues. Where is the Lambo? 80 liters of fuel in the tank. There goes Aiden McCarthy. Here comes Scott Frederick. And here comes Jonas Edkunen battling at the apex of turn 1. This could very well decide the outcome of the race, and Scott Frederick escapes with the lead. Matej knows not to try here, or just couldn't, even if he wanted to, I'm not sure. 3-car feud for the GT class win. The hypercar class could never. And these are basically the only cars really near each other on the track, but they're the only ones that have to be. I need water. Mount Fuji looms in the distance. Fuji is about to witness a battle for the ages. Down the outside goes Itkunen. Nobody is home. You don't want to do that too many times. You're going to risk your actual championship rival escaping into the sunset. I want to get a view on the next lap with the HUD off screen. That would be a heck of a thumbnail or something. The 3 GT leaders fighting in the sunset with the backdrop of Mount Fuji for Matej, an insane debut in the season. But it could mean the championship lead for Scott Frederick and Jonas Edkunen. But Jonas doesn't have much to offer right now. He's losing time to the Huracan. He could just be hanging back to see what happens. Maybe he thinks that Matej will start attacking Frederick and lose him time, which is a very valid belief. Definitely not unlikely. Although with corners like that, it may not be so likely. We'll check up here. Nope. That is very wide on the exit of that turn. I'm not sure if the game is going to fully accept that, but I don't see any arguments from the game stewards, so we continue. And blue flags displayed. AJ Knickel catching the battle for GT. And I know he will be one, especially with the kind of distance he has between his competitors. He's going to want to be a little methodical about it. He doesn't want to be... he's more of a class act than that. He doesn't want to interfere with the fight if he can help it. Even if that might mean waiting for here. No, he is going to out-drag, and he's just going to send it. Yeah, okay, that's just the... the best way to avoid an issue is just to run away from it. I say that. It's not really the way I mean that, but you know what I mean. Lost Jonas more time. Here comes Heredia, who is in pursuit of the Canadian driver. I forgot to take the HUD off. That is a bit sideways for the Huracan. I know this thing isn't the most stable car in the universe. Oh, he is right there. He is absolutely right there. He's on the harder tires, but he's on the much fresher tires. Fredericks are already halfway dead. But his barely look dead at all. There we go. That's a shot and a half right there. No HUD, no driver names. We got both categories on the screen and everything. Couldn't have got that much better, I don't think. And while that was happening too, the HUD was off while Matej made the decisive pass, possibly for the win. We don't need the car names, that's not helpful. I didn't even see it, it was so smooth and slick, I didn't even notice that an overtake was going on. In fact, the camera was super far away, probably didn't help, but with just 15 minutes left in the race, Matej is back to the race lead, and he's definitely got the tires and fuel to get to the finish. This is basically just between Itkonen and Frederick now. And man, that Porsche's left front is shredded compared to Itkonen's. That is not a good sign for the Porsche at all. The view of Fuji with the 3 category leaders in view. Matej has not exactly disappeared yet, and that's a corner cut penalty. That's not going to lose him the spot per se, but it's not going to help. And if Frederick puts down a good sector 3, he might have a chance into 1, but it doesn't look like the makings of that thus far, we'll say. Scruffy exit, losing time on exit in fact, albeit not very much. There is the decel right there. And here comes the cavalry. 6 tenths, 5 tenths, 4 tenths, 3 tenths, 2 tenths, overtaking. Scott Frederick needs to put a car in between himself and Itkonen. Those tires aren't going to get him anywhere. They're both going to overtake the Huracan. But the Huracan's not done. He's going to move them both out of the way. Door-to-door contact between him and the Porsche. I mean bumper-to-bumper contact on the way out between the 2 championship rivals. If I'm Scott, I am furious at that one. There's an aggressive move for the lead, and then there's just disrupting the championship fight. He's obviously well in his right to make overtakes. You know, he's racing for the win too, but don't move him out of the way. He's got bigger fish to fry than you, and you're about to get fried on your own if you keep that up. Fisher jumping onto the line tonight. Basically bumper to bumper. This looks like NASCAR. Down the inside goes the RCF. Nothing done yet, not finished. They're both going to lose time to the Huracan. Blue flags, Aiden McCarthy sneaks into shot. They're both using every single micrometer of this racetrack. Bumper to the back of the 17, I think. Probably lag, but it looked like the bumpers, so I'm going to call it like I see it. The Huracan's getting away with murder. But that's not Frederick's problem at the moment. He needs to remain focused on the guy he has to beat. Just because he got shuffled out of the way by a Huracan, he needs to keep the Lexus back there, and he needs to do it for 11 more minutes. I don't think his tires will even go that long. That's another 7 laps left of racing to go. And those soft tires don't look like they're doing 7 laps. Itkonen's aren't really that much better, but he's certainly got a heck of a lot more of a chance of getting it done. And it seems the 2-stop was always the way to go. And Matej knew that. He must have done some tire wear research or something. That is a dying Volvo somewhere. Polestar, actually, I think it would technically be. Way too squarely on exit. Ran over the cameraman, probably. That's a battle. Camera! Look at the battle, not the mountain. Jeez. This is getting tiresome. Ikonen still trying to keep his nose there. Porsche with the drive off. But, yeah, the more that he's forcing Frederick to battle, the more he's forcing Frederick to wear his left front tire out. He's making him drive aggressively, and the tires aren't going to like that. How in the world did you get that kind of exit? Or that kind of apex speed? It doesn't matter, because it's absolutely destroyed his exit. Aiden McCarthy will pass the second time, and he's going to give he's going to give them plenty of space in case one pulls out to the side. They're pulling out to the side. Ikonen's struggling to get the move done, but I don't think he needs to worry too much because neither of them have the tires. Now that might be it. Yeah, that should be done and dusted unless he makes some mess up on exit. That is sealed. Provisionally, second in the category goes back to Eunice. Scott Frederick can push his tires all he likes. I don't think that's a good idea. I think at this point he's got to hope Eunice has to come in, but I don't think he will. I think he can run around with just a shredded tire for a lap, because Scott Frederick is going to have to pit in 2 more, if not at the end of this one. If I'm either one of them, Matei is off. He's gone. Just don't worry about it. Worry about your championship rival, who you're only 7 points away from. Speaking of, that's a shrinking distance between the 2 race leaders. Altman, that was once like a 7-second lead or something like that. It is now down to about 2.5. And Ridwan's got more fuel in the tank. I don't think Altman's in the danger zone as far as fuel right now. But it does mean he's probably going to have to run a lower fuel mix. Ridwan will not have such a restriction. Heredia also making some inroads on AJ Kanickle. You look on the lap times on the right. Actually, they're kind of back and forth, but still. Ridwan rapidly approaching the battle for second in class, although I think the battle may be over. The moon is about to come up, I think. I can't really look at the sky too well, but it definitely seems like it's pretty much nighttime now. Anybody got a clock on their dashboard? For local time? I highly doubt it. Yeah, I don't know how to break this to you, Scott, but that's the last lap on this tire. They will not turn after this lap. I just hope you know that. Okay, I think Altman has responded in kind to Ridwan closing the gap. He's expanded it back to 3.5 now. So was not really in the jeopardy that I had thought he might have been. Frederick's pushing it. He's gonna puncture on this lap unless he literally drives like a feather. Huh. Could have a battle to avoid being last of the running cars, too. Mason Pope is closing in on Van Wee. His tires are older, and they're the softer compound, but he does have more fuel. The Corvette is thirsty. He's going to slow down a lot to let Aiden McCarthy by, and that's going to give Pope an opportunity to try and come back at the C7. He continues to have his blinker on. This man, stop that. Turn it off. Oh yeah, that dude is super fuel saving. I mean, look at it. There's no way that's 4 laps of fuel there. And there's no way he's being eaten alive like this by an NSX. I should know. I've driven the car plenty. It's my favorite GT3, but I know full well that it doesn't have the straight line speed to dust a Corvette like that normally. So Preston is in major fuel saving mode, and Mason Pope moves into 13th on the track as a result. Yeah, the headlights are on and everything. It is officially late evening, if not nighttime, here at Fuji Speedway. Turn your blinker off! My OCD wants to smack you! Yeah, he switched to the right blinker, but he can turn it off now. He's not letting anyone go. It was the left. He switched to the right when he was being lapped by McCarthy, but he's not getting lapped right now. Okay, he was. Not anymore, though. Red One's passed them both. I think he just doesn't even realize it's on. I think he just kind of slips his mind, if I had to guess. Because to be fair, I've been there, and I imagine most people who drive in real life have done it at least once, too. As you can see, Scott Frederick's tire is dead. He's trying to nurse it around, but at this point, he's at risk of losing the spot to Robichaud if he's not careful. He's gonna basically have the kind of... He's gonna turn like a Group 4. That's what this car is right now. It's a Group 4 with an extra bit of horsepower. The 2.5 down on this PB, I'm honestly surprised it's that little. But I imagine it probably only punctured, I'd guess, in the middle of turn 3 or the middle of the long double, triple, however many rights. Preston, I think, has disregarded fuel saving. He's going to just try and go for it. But it's just... It isn't. Maybe he isn't, actually. He's not gaining on the NSX. He's lifting and coasting. But Mason Pope missing turn 1 is going to not help anything in his case. Avoid contact on the way out, but Preston will get back to 13th following that missed braking point. Because while Preston is low on fuel, Mason Pope's tires are about to die. And it shows as he's struggling for control with some dirty air. What is the time in the race? I think Jackson Allman, in about 20 seconds, is going to be taking the white flag here from Fuji. It now is just straight up nighttime. Very heavy clouds, not much in the way of visibility. He's saying that because you don't technically puncture in this game, but you just get no grip on the fronts. As I said, he's basically got a Group 4. Yeah, he's basically got a Group 4 right now, just with more horsepower. No, this is not the white flag for Altman or for Red One, but for anybody that's behind them, this will be the final lap. I don't think AJ is pulling any minute 19s out of the hat here. And if he does, I've got bigger questions to ask. Actually, he needs like a minute 15, never mind that. The halation is a vibe, though, by the way. On the start line, that's an absolute vibe going on. And I get any more people on the front stretch. That looks cool. Wish I could save the replay. There'd be some really sweet pictures from this race. It reminds me of the opening to Gran Turismo 1, actually. That's what it looks like. It's those kind of conditions. And then the big-ass green light. Pardon the French. The big green light. It literally just reminds me of Gran Turismo 1's opening cinematic. Oh, that left run is not happy with you. Neither of you. Jackson may not be able to make it one more lap. That fuel light is on. That's usually 1 or 2 more laps. I don't know how low it is. But it is not negotiable. They're both doing 1 more lap. And nobody else is, except for the... Yeah, no, nobody else is. Nobody's close enough to take the line in the next 10 seconds besides these two. Heredia will not be getting to AJ. His left front will barely be getting to the finish line. So AJ will grab the last spot on the podium, barring a massive just meltdown from Altman. He should be fine. That looks like enough fuel for half a lap. Heredia is left. Matej Popusoy will win the race in the GT class. Idkonen gets second. Darius is out of gas. Scott Frederick is out of tire, but he's somehow miraculously made it to the end, and he will retain his podium finish in GT. Robichaud just needed a little bit more time. Due to fuel issues, that's a shocker. Fuel constraints, Preston ran out and Darius ran out. Mason Pope with, well, 12th overall. Let me math here. 3, 4, 5, 6th in class on debut because he had a little more in the tank. And Preston and Darius ran out. Darius ends up getting last because he coasted down the entire front stretch. And that will round things off for the 8th round of the AEC, of the AE Championship. ARC Endurance. Quick glance at the next race. Yep, another 7 days, and we will have the Interlagos round. No horsepower is fuel mileage. Can't rev the engine with 480 horses. Be a lot of big days for new drivers. It's a 6th on debut for Pope, a victory on debut for Popusoy in the Huracan. Jackson Altman, I think, that might be his first win of the season. I'm not entirely certain. That will do it for me in the ARC Endurance Championship for this week, for tonight. Shoutouts go to simigpro.com, as well as to the Racing Rats. The guys are partners in Assetto Corsa modding that help our GT World Challenge over there run as smoothly as possible with free high-quality car mods and presumably track mods. Additionally, to DIVEBOMB, our... I got distracted by the comment. Thank you. Are you Sikkim? Is that who you are in the chat? I think you are. I'm not sure. It might be, I don't know. I might be talking on my behind. Either way, DIVEBOMB ARC is our title sponsor. New media project keeping everyone up to date on motorsports news and occasionally some memes and humor. From what I remember anyway. I don't their posts don't show up in my feed properly. I don't know why not. Anyway, and also just to mention just the sheer number of people that showed up this week. Like, we had, I think, what was it, 23 people attempt to make this race? There was enough for a consolation run. We haven't had that since round 1. We're at round 8. The host is into the game. But, yeah, I think that needs to be mentioned, that we just had 23 people try to run tonight. So, that is a huge deal, if you ask me. Obviously, we don't have a series here if we don't have people showing up every week. I think we've sent somebody home in all but one race. So that is unheard of for any series I've commentated. So, with that snippet out there, that is all from me. Until Sao Paulo, goodbye.